Kuching has a short history, but a long story. It is a story that is still being written by its indigenous people, by its travelers and visitors, by people from right here and people from all over the world, even by people like me, a little bit from here, a little bit from everywhere. It's hard to believe that just 170 years ago, the city of Kuching was only a small settlement for just a few hundred people. And now, it is a huge city of several 100,000. The old courthouse on the south bank of the river was once the seat of government. This building, in fact Kuching's third courthouse, was initiated by Raja James in 1865, but completed by his successor Charles in 1874, just a few years after James's death in 1868. It was both the court and the meeting place for the Council Nugri, and it served as the main administrative centre for the Sarawak government until 1973. The clock tower was added later, a mark of modern time and modern times. This memorial in front, erected in 1924 by the third Raja, Charles Wynebroek, after his father's death in 1917, shows the main ethnic groups in Sarawak: Chinese, Dayak, Orang Ulu and Malay, all on a single structure. The pavilion behind me, now the Textile Museum, served as the hospital until the 1920s. It was at one time the tallest building in Kuching. And our post office got its own building in 1932. In 1868, Charles Brooke ordered that the wood and atap of Main Bazaar be rebuilt in sturdier materials. In fact, he was ignored at first, but in 1871 he reissued his order, asking that Main Bazaar and Carpenter Street behind it be rebuilt in a more solid manner and on a larger scale. Shop houses went up in bricks and mortar, and the streetscape of Kuching's Main Bazaar that you see today began to emerge. Then, in 1884, a great fire ravaged Kuching, tearing through Carpenter Street, Bishopsgate and China Street. 135 shop houses went up in flames, and with the rebuilding, the Great Fire also turned the minds of Kuching to more pressing matters of public safety. The tower went up at Tower Market soon after, though it wasn't until 1940 that the first dedicated fire station opened here, in what is now the police station next to the Central Padang. In 1947, the fire department then moved back to this site nearby, variously over the years, the government sawmill, and then from 1922, the town's first power station. The name of the street still remembers it. The fire brigade moved out in 1957 to their current location in Jalan Pedungan, now the oldest of several fire stations across the state. And finally, Electra House opened on this spot just a few years later, in August 1965, as Kuching's first dedicated shopping mall, complete with air conditioning. As the town grew, so did its space. The government printing offices moved out of the courthouse and into a new building on the Central Padang. Kuching was more settled, more substantial, and life became, in many ways, more leisurely. The city has been transformed, but our old originals still remain. But the heart of Kuching remains the same. The Kuching story continues, our story continues, and we invite you to be part of the next chapter.